Inactivity serves no purpose whatsoever. The world remains constant over the centuries, but human life is like the dew at dawn, or a bubble rising through water, transitory. All the world holds dear is but a backdrop of constant motion. I stand before it, alone and unchanging.
Hello my lovely rapscallions. I am back with Genshin Impact. I'll try to do the Archon quest today.
Inactivity serves no purpose whatsoever. There is no escape!
I see everything!
Solidify!
Wouldn't gliding be faster? Time for takeoff. Hey! Brace yourselves.
Shine down! Insolent!
Stabilize!
Think you can get away?
We'll meet again.
Illusion shattered!
Everyone hold hands! Stopped raining already? A shame. Add Astro. Add Astra. Thank you for.
Lighthouse.
Wow! If it isn't the Traveler and Paimon! Ha! You got some nerve! You just used that.
Oh, you needn't worry about that. I heard that you were in Poisson some time back, so I sent you a letter to just. It's all right, though. I've set aside the amount intended for you. I've even set the table with some food.
Really? Oh, you're the best!
You're almost a little too easy to win over, Paimon. If I were a journalist with ulterior motives, you'd be in trouble now, you know.
Oh, Paimon knows you're not like that.
Still, what brings you here all of a sudden? Were you looking for me?
When Mona mentioned you, we thought of coming to see you at work.
I see. It seems you've already bumped into Mona here in Fontaine. So she mentioned me? What did she say?
She said that you're a real daredevil of a journalist.
Nice. In which case, can this daredevil journalist dare to request an exclusive interview with the legendary Traveler and Paimon?
Huh? So your article?
Oh, of course it doesn't. That was more like live photography. What I'd like to do is dive deeper and ask you to talk about the things you've seen and experienced.
Yeah. Are we even qualified enough?
Why not? If I say you're worth an interview, then you're worth it. But not right now, of course. I'll need a few days to prepare.
Oh, in that case, we'll just chat when you have the time then?
Oh, so that's a yes? Oh, splendid! I'll tell the editor-in-chief immediately. I'll have to apply for lighting, a venue, some props, and... Whew, so much to get done now. Talk to you later.
Wait, Charlotte, Paimon's still got a question for you.
And what's that?
If, just for example...
Huh, that's the prophecy you're talking about, isn't it? If you're seriously asking, then I might try and think of a way to leave Fontaine. Oh, but I'm still a journalist first and foremost. That means I have a duty. From what I've seen, most people don't know what they do should the worst come to pass. In truth, it might be better just to behave like normal rather than worry over such an end. So in all likelihood, I'd probably still be prepping at the office for that interview of ours. I know what you're thinking. That sounds a bit sad, but I've always believed that it's best to do what you enjoy. Just think about it. If this nation really were to be suddenly destroyed tomorrow, But I still successfully finish an exclusive interview with a truly unique person. The story I would wind up writing would truly be timeless. And then do you know what I'd do? Well, I'd write that story, send it for printing, and use messenger pigeons to get copies out to the various nations as soon as possible. I'm not a dreamer, nor am I a workaholic, but I do love my job. And I'd be proud of leaving such an art. But anyway, that's my answer. And on that note, I'll get back to my preparations.
That's so nice. All of a sudden, Paimon actually kinda envies her. Anyway, let's go and take a look at the sea, shall we? The sea breeze and scenery can be a pretty... Paimon's been thinking. If it wasn't Fontaine, but all of Tevat that would be destroyed tomorrow, where would we go and what would we do? No, Paimon should ask, if you could choose, what would you like to do? We've always been moving to the next destination, so we haven't spent much time thinking about these kinds of things. We didn't have to either, with us always being on the road and whatnot. You mean, still traveling? Oh. Wait, isn't that what we've always been doing?
fall into the hands of rioters, what could ordinary people do to her? Good. Monsieur Nervillet sent me to tell you about the situation, but he didn't say anything else.
Don't worry, this is more than enough to go on. Thanks for keeping us informed.
Ah, is that so? Well, alright then. In that case, you two take care. I'll be heading back to the palais now.
Well, sounds like we should hurry over to Poisson then.
Nice work, Suku. I am sure they will see you, Art.
If we know Farina, she won't try to fix things in this situation. Instead, she'll look for a place to wait out the heat. And as we also know, she may be loud and dramatic, but she doesn't have a heart of stone. When Nervillet was talking to her in the Palais Mermonia, and she heard about Poisson, she couldn't hide her sadness and remorse. It would be hard for her to ignore being accused by the public today. Paimon thinks Farina's probably taken the opportunity to slip away to Poisson and try to relieve the sense of guilt that she's feeling. Huh. Well, what do you think? Paimon knows the answer, of course, but Paimon can do the analysis to back it up too. Cool, huh? In that case, there's not a moment to lose. Poisson, here we come!
Stay safe, Suki.
This place looks deserted. Guess all the survivors must have evacuated already. All that's left here are signs of devastation. Could Farina really be here? Let's try to find her as soon as possible. That's Farina, right over there!
Should I just give up? This is all meaningless. What was meant to happen did happen after all. Everyone's dead. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Give up, Farina. There's no point in holding out. I'm sorry, but what can I even do other than to repeat Who's that?
Don't worry, Farina, it's just...
So it is you, blonde traveler from another land. Why, I almost thought you were someone from that mock...
Farina, you were crying just now.
What do you mean, tear stains? Oh, I remember. The show at the Opera House earlier this morning was so moving. I'm still trying to process it.
Who did that uncivilized rabble think they were, disturbing my enjoyment of the
Farina.
arts? They even dare to doubt their Archon! I must teach them a lesson. I can just imagine their twisted and frustrated faces once they realize that I'm nowhere to be found. Oh, and I'm sure Nouvellette and those people from the Maréchaussée Phantom are freaking out right next to them, too. Of course not.
Hey, there she is! The Hydro Archon's over there! Quick, after her!
Farina, those people seem to be after you.
They are? They're just... that's against the rules.
Farina just ran off! Quick, we have to catch up with her! This should be the place, right?
I swear those
Hey,
people are
Farina!
idiots.
There's a good hiding spot over here! Quick, come!
What?
Hurry, they're almost here!
Fine. I suppose haste... No, I mean, I merely gave in to the sheer enthusiasm they displayed.
Yep, that's a...
What's happening? The ground...
Yeah, a quake of this kind preceded the flooding in Poisson.
It can't be.
Well, there's no need to worry too much about that. Nouvellette's made some emergency plans, so the
Yeah, but the people of Poisson... It's true. I've been investigating the prophecy for hundreds of years. I once had informants all over Tevat, searching for clues and feeding information back to me. I've tried all kinds of ways too to hold back this, but all my efforts proved to be futile in the end. We cannot make an enemy of the divine. No matter what we do, give up. Indeed. I've thought about giving up so many times, especially after we almost lost Poisson. Fate is really unreasonable, isn't it? It has no heart and obeys no rules. The prophecy has only just started to come true, and so many people have already lost their lives. But just now, it all became clear to me. I still don't have the right to come to terms with fate on behalf of everyone else. As long as the final moment hasn't come, it's still not too late. Don't worry. I will keep hope alive for everyone until the very end. Well, that's enough for now. I got the impulse to play the stricken maiden, but honestly, considering my rank and station, that wasn't a good fit at all. Don't take any of what I just said seriously. How could...
Come on! Paimon could have sworn you were actually...
Share my burden. That's impossible. It was fated right from the start that this would be my duty alone. A witness. Yes, I've heard that you came to Tevat from beyond the stars, yes. In other words, you never belonged here. And if Tevat is, in its entirety, a show... if... I...
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my opening performance.
Lenny, you
Now,
bitch.
without further ado, we may proceed to the trial of our god.
So, this is what it is. Do not forget, however, that I am Fosalor, the god of...
May I interpret these words as your refusal to... In that case, you will have the opportunity to defend your honor.
You would draw your blade? I see. It seems like you have made up your mind.
Paimon can't believe it.
Okay, that I am attack Evertian?
What the heck is going on?
Wow, how utterly humiliating.
Lady Farina, what?
It would seem that there has been a misunderstanding.
Looking for excuses again.
I raised my hands just now to indicate my... I will admit, I'm sorry, everyone. You are not the only ones to be disappointed. But now, I, Farina, will use this trial to show the world the true meaning of justice! This time, I will protect you. Applaud and rejoice. One of the most outrageous and Mark my words. This shall be one of the most exhilarating and brilliant shows ever to grace the stage of Fontaine. The trial of the Hydro Archon, Fosalor, will now begin!
Woohoo!
Oh, now we're making...
Why does it feel like Farina just took over the whole thing? Like, come on. Also, even though she's still acting super
All right, then. Who?
The court asks the prosecutor to please take the stand.
Is that so? Also, please allow me to ask, as a final question before the trial begins. Just how much work did you do to force me onto this stage?
Well, we did do a lot of prep after the meeting that day.
I can go over the tasks assigned to the Spina di Rosula, since they were rather straightforward and easy.
Navia, the president of the Spina...
Most of the people who participated in the disturbance this morning were my subordinates. They changed into plain clothes and came to the Opera House as regular audience members, waiting for the perfect opportunity to incite insurrection against you. The people's resentment against their Archon has been building as more and more of the prophecy is fulfilled. A spark was all we needed to turn smoldering anger into a flame. Moreover, according to our understanding and analysis of you, when something like that
BRB.
occurred, you would likely flee the scene and head to Poisson by yourself. So, we arranged for a second group to lie in wait there.
So, you mean... the ones who scoured the settlement for me were also
I need to get
from
my meds.
Spina.
And their goal was to force you to step into the giant magic box so you may personally participate in the greatest magic performance in all of Fontainian history.
That's right. That house was a magic box, rather than someone's residence.
As the super ultimate version of the setup that I used when I first performed at the Opera Epiclese, the volume of the box was increased by a whole order of magnitude, and the distance it traversed was the entire gap between Poisson and Araneas. Its cargo, of course, was an Archon instead of a human. My thanks, Farina. Without your help, we could never have pulled off such an extraordinary performance.
You're welcome?
Of course, this performance was only made possible with Father's support. The House of the Hearth spent a massive amount of labor in Mora to pull this off. We had to select a location, construct a giant magic box, dig a tunnel, and open up a path through the water. It was a lot of work for all of us.
So, in other words, the earthquake that we felt within the giant magic box was just a normal tremor from the transportation of the whole house?
That's right. It wasn't a sign of another disaster to come.
Yes, I do.
Then, I can guess Nervillette and Cloran's parts. You gathered a crowd, prepared a stage, and made sure that the champion duelist would be immediately ready for a fight. Also that as soon as I appeared on the stage...
Yes, that is correct.
Well, Clorand, I must commend you for your courage. Only the most outstanding champion duelist in all of Fontaine would accept a duel with an Archon without flinching.
Thank you.
As for you, Traveler, I suppose your role was to keep me distracted with conversation. You'd make sure that I didn't notice anything amiss before revealing yourself as my prosecutor once we'd arrived onto the stage. Oh? It's fine. It matters not. What's done is done. The stage is already set, so there's no reason to disappoint the audience. Let's see this trial through to the very end.
Madam Prosecutor, please allow me to pass. This is a document that Miss Charlotte applied for and received permission to share with you during the trial. According to her, it should speed up proceedings.
Huh? Charlotte wanted to give us something? Oh, so she's here too! Hey, Charlotte! Oh, let Paimon see. Wait. Then that means this document is a perfect timeline of everything that's happened ever since we stepped foot in Fontaine! So in other words, we can refer to this anthology of evidence every time we want. Let's quickly confirm the information in it. Just think of it as a refresher, alright?
You defeated the Hydro Archon in the very first duel you took part in at the Opera House. That's one for the history books, all right.
I stopped playing Genshin for 2 months too, thanks to burnout.
I didn't think that you'd wind up getting to the bottom of the case I'd been following all this time. I guess you could also see this as a happy coincidence. This is the first time Monsieur Nervillette had a difference of opinion with the Oratrice. Even the Hydro Archon can't figure it out. But the Tui Harbinger, she's an extraordinary person. Her instinct must mean something. The fortress of Meripede was almost destroyed in a single day. That I didn't witness that scene personally will always be a source of professional regret, I think. According to Monsieur Nervillette, both Child and that whale should have been in the Primordial Sea at that time. I nearly lost my awesome friend Navia. To be honest, that still gives me shivers. The words of someone as extraordinary as a witch can probably only be truly understood when something surreal happens to you.
The prosecution and the defense are both in position. The trial shall now begin.
Oh, come on, Nervillette. There's no need to repeat all the unimportant legalese. Just fast forward to the part where the prosecution lays out my offenses. As the defendant and the lead actress of this performance, I still haven't even been informed of my supposed guilt in all of this. Of course, it is only natural for humans to struggle to understand the actions of a god. However, you will need more than that to convict me of a crime.
That's true, but my charge here is unrelated to your conduct as an Archon. Instead, I would like to charge you as a fraud, who's never been the Archon in the first place.
Wait, what was that? Lady Farina's a fraud?
Hey, I came here thinking that we were going to try the Hydro Archon for forsaking her duty, but...
Charge accepted. Lady Farina, do you plead guilty to the charge? Lady Farina.
I plead not guilty. How can I be guilty? There is no way that I, Focalor, otherwise known as Farina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine, could be anything other than your true Archon.
Yeah, even though Lady Farina can be rather eccentric, isn't it going too far to doubt her very identity?
Yeah, I've never questioned her identity either. Sure, Lady Farina can be super irresponsible, but what grounds does that prosecutor have to make such a huge claim?
I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon ever since they were born. There would be no fooling their memory. See? Even the Oratrice has decided to show me its favor. Are you sure you want to commit to a charge that will never be upheld? If you wish to drop the case, I can promise you as the God of Justice that you will not have to face trial for making a false accusation. We will treat everything that's happened as a dramatic spectacle and move on with our lives. What do you say to that?
An argument with near impossible odds, huh? You have to knock.
Well, I tried to give you the chance to surrender. If you must persist, then let me ask. If you believe I'm not the Archon, then what manner of being do you think I am? And if I was not the Archon...
which would allow you to naturally possess an extended lifespan. And second of all, even if that wasn't the case, there could be other ways
Hello,
to
Jeff.
extend your life.
Who gave you that idea? Was it the knave? You'd sink so low.
A curse? I once thought it possible that the aura of an Archon might naturally resemble a type of curse. But in light of this claim, perhaps what I sensed was not your divinity, but a curse after all.
You sensed it too, huh, Nervalet?
Everything is smooth, just me alone.
Lady Farina is actually a human?
Well, it is true that it's extremely difficult to tell humans.
Well, don't start celebrating too early now. Even if I have been carrying a curse like you said, how does that prove that I am merely a human being? Besides, everyone knows that the main difference between a human and a god is the possession of authority. Gods can do what humans cannot. That's why they're worshipped as gods.
Thank you.
For centuries, manifestations of my authority have served the nation of Fontaine. One need only to turn their eyes towards the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal in this very opera house, or consider the indemnitium that is used in every aspect of life.
You tried to reference the Oratrice. But weren't you as confused as all the rest of us when the Oratrice declared Child to be guilty without any proof? Otherwise, you should have come up with a good explanation for that by now.
Didn't I make myself clear at the time? The decisions of the gods are naturally difficult for humans to comprehend. There is no need to provide an explanation.
Lady Farina, I believe a reminder of your current circumstances is in order. While the court is in session, the principles of justice and the law must come before all else. While you are an Archon, you are also first and foremost the defendant in this trial. You will prove yourself unable to defend against the prosecution's charges if you continue to withhold vital information against the rules of the court.
I never thought you'd use that kind of rhetoric against me.
That was no trick of rhetoric, Lady Farina. I've merely reiterated the rules of the court. Rules that all should respect and follow.
So, you neither knew why Child was declared guilty, nor did you understand the structure and operations of the Oratrice. Instead of having been created by you, the manifestations of authority you mentioned have been made by the real Hydro Archon, haven't they?
The real Hydro Archon? Well, now you're really losing me. It is true that I did not know why the Oratrice gave out a guilty verdict that day, but the Oratrice handed out that verdict unilaterally, and it has been operating independently ever since it was first. You can't argue that just because a divine creation is flawed, that the god behind it must also be no god at all.
She's still throwing out all kinds of excuses. Seems like she's confident that we won't be able to produce proof that she has no power over the Oratrice.
My power as an...
If that poses a concern, I'm prepared.
You don't need to go that far.
Aren't you the Hydro Archon? Or...
Indemnitium! Yes! It's all because of Indemnitium! All Archons derive. Thus did I give up all...
Isn't that?
Yeah, no matter how generous an Archon can be, how could they give up all their power? Can it...
It seems like nobody's buying Farina's excuse.
Hey, come now, everyone. Please, I'm still the same Farina you knew, please.
If what the prosecutor said is true,
She really...
Did she deceive all of us?
Enough! That's enough. Tell me then, if I'm not the real Hydro Archon, then who is? If you have no evidence of another Hydro Archon's existence, nor can you find anyone who can back up their claim to be such, then what grounds have you to say that I'm not actually the real...
Wow, she came up with yet another argument. How... It has been established that all Fontanians can dissolve in water from the primordial sea. And that means...
Since you insist on claiming to be a god and not a human, then there's a method that you can use right here and now to eliminate all suspicions of you being the latter.
Miss Navia, please apply to serve as a temporary attorney for the prosecution before addressing the court. Though you act in partnership with the prosecutor, you must still adhere to proper procedure.
Super sorry, Monsieur Chief Justice. Now, I've brought some seawater from Poisson, including those of some of my closest friends. So, Miss Farina, would you, if we are to believe that you are indeed the real Hydro Archon, but if you don't dare to touch it, then we would have basically proved the reverse. Oh, and I must remind you that after the disaster at Poisson, nobody wants to see any more people dissolve. I do hope you'll act prudently and choose the simpler path of admitting...
Navia from the Spina di Rasula. The Spina has governed Poisson for many years. I guess her suggestion is valid.
If Lady Farina is indeed just a human, she's probably Fontanian like all the rest of us. Would she really dare to try?
Lady Farina, this test has been unilaterally proposed.
Well, of course he had to tell her that. But refusing to participate is basically the same.
She's just staring at the water without...
What's going on?
Due to the inherent risk of the
Hey!
I'm fine! Look at me, everyone! Will you believe me now?
Miss Siegewing? If you're present, Miss Siegewing, please come forward and attend to the defense.
Siegewing? Don't be nervous. It'll just take a... That should be in...
Please announce the results of your event.
As everyone doubtlessly saw, Miss Farina was displaying symptoms of hyper... She was experiencing the adverse effects of exposure to primordial seawater. The extent with...
Thank you, Miss Siegewing.
Oh, wait. What did she just say? I didn't get dissolved.
Well, considering your tendency to run from your problems, we did originally prepare a direct sample of the seawater around Poisson. However, after extensive discussion, we exchanged it for a sample that is not concentrated enough to dissolve an actual human. After all, on the off chance that something entirely unexpected might occur, we don't want anyone else to lose their life to the sea.
Yeah, so out of regard for Farina's life, you secured a low-concentration sample and asked the head nurse to... It's a great thing that the direct sample wasn't actually...
I can't believe... Listen to me, everyone! Think about it! How can you conclusively prove that an Archon can't also be affected by the Primor... Also, if I was really just a human... Please, everyone, anyone, just listen to me! I swear, I really am your Archon!
I still hate how everyone is doing this to her.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone. The odds are just too stacked against her now.
With all the things that have been said, Paimon doesn't think there's any way left for Farina to win.
I believe the time for arguments and presentation of evidence has come to an end. If there are no objections, we will move on to the final judgment.
Fact that I know how much she suffer.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway her until she's stacked against her now.
In my capacity as Chief Justice, I shall now render judgment on Farina's misrepresentation of herself as the Archon of Fontaine. As a human who knowingly deceived her fellow citizens, Farina is guilty. We shall now turn to the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale to render the final verdict on the charges. According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale, Farina is...
Well, what's wrong? What's the Oratrice's verdict?
No, the Oratrice also displays a guilty verdict.
Isn't that correct then?
However, the exact wording of the verdict is thus: the Hydro Archon, guilty, to be punished via the death sentence.
The death sentence?
That's actually one of the available sentences? I've always thought that it was just a myth.
The one and only time the death sentence has been handed out at the court, and it's been given to the very person we've worshipped as the god of justice? What an unexpected twist.
Farina's been sentenced to death by the Oratrice? We just wanted to use the trial to show her the seriousness of things so she'd tell us the truth. How did things escalate this quickly?
This outcome is indeed quite strange. According to Fontaine's current definitions
Kinda
of justice,
ironic they did
as well
this
as
in
his
a
recommendations
covenant-based
for criminal
France country.
sentences, is this sentence really appropriate for the crime?
Yeah! Even Fauché wasn't sentenced to death by the Oratrice. You know, the real evil mastermind.
Indeed. Not only is Farina's sentence overly excessive, but now, the Oratrice seems to have deliberately invoked the title of the Hydro Archon.
Excuse me, if I may interrupt. Is the trial
Fremine! You finally made it!
Mm-hmm. Any mission, Father.
Is that the first prophecy slate? Huh. So the knave privately arranged for Fremine to try and find the missing slate?
I looked everywhere and finally found it at the bottom of the sea. But has the trial already concluded?
Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Fremine. Please allow me to review the record. Traveler, I believe that you have already seen the other existing slates.
Huh? So what do you see? What?
I believe I've now made sense of the Hydro Archon's crime. It has to do with Fontaine's lost history.
Huh? Isn't the Hydro Archon just guilty of deceiving her people? Oh, wait, no, that's Farina, and we've already proven that she's... So when you say Hydro Archon, do you mean the real Hydro Archon we've been kinda talking about?
In truth, everything that you've encountered in Fontaine up until this point can be traced back to the contents of these stone slates. However, I'm uncertain as to how much sense they currently make.
Okay, let's try to recall the contents of the other 3 stone slates. The first stone slate describes what you just said. It seems to show the previous... Does that mean that Fontanians are transformed Oceanids? The second stone slate. This must be the point when the Hydro Archon and the Fontanians were branded with their original sin. The third slate shows the Hydro Archon sinking into the sea, surrounded by many people. Never mind. Well, the fourth slate is the prophecy the Fontanians have been talking about. We didn't believe that such a crazy
We know from the case of the serial disappearances of young women that Fontanians can be dissolved in primordial seawater. And the first stone... This might be the reason that Fontanians can dissolve. Perhaps what is about to take place has all happened before. The true sin of the Hydro Archon that Nervilette mentioned, and the original sin cast down on the people of Fontaine by Celestia, as recorded on the stone slates. It's not as simple as falling into the sea. When Navia fell into the sea, her consciousness was subjected to judgment. The prophecy from the stone slates found its way into society. But the fortress of Meropide was nearly flooded with primordial seawater, which we know can cause Fontanians to dissolve. If we hadn't dealt with it in time, things could have gone very badly.
They'll dissolve into the primordial sea but won't cease to exist. Their essence will flow in the seawater. Converge. The Hydro Archon was sentenced to death in court, shocking everyone present. Perhaps this means that her sin was actually Fontaine's original sin. Navia fell into the water inside those ruins, and she nearly dissolved. She was surrounded by the people of Poisson in a court within her consciousness, and was forced to take part in a trial meant to make her stay. The eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress of Meropide was the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to pass no matter what. The prophecy's contents can all be verified by recent events. Huh? Oh, Paimon gets it now! So that's how you can make sense of it. But then it feels like...
Let's hear them.
Incredible. We're not real humans.
All Fontanians were originally created by the late previous Hydro Archon, with Oceanids as their basis. The evidence for that can be found in how only Fontanians could dissolve in primordial seawater, and how all the girls Vacher dissolved were also turned into Oceanids. Oh, and according to Navia, when she was about to get dissolved, she also saw everyone gathered around for a trial, all of them in the shape of Oceanids.
Indeed.
Yeah, and it follows from the content of the first slate that she probably angered Celestia by creating humans without prior permission. That could also explain why the Oratries judged the Hydro Archon to be guilty. It's to account for that ancient sin.
The Hydro Archon's true sin was creating us?
And yet, after many hundreds of years, the Hydro Archon's creations have turned around to try to judge the Archon within the Opera Epiclese. The twist.
Yeah! Isn't the image here just like when Navia fell in? So wouldn't it be trying to show the image of the Hydro Archon also? In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain weeping on her throne. Oh, did Paimon get all that right?
You've made some keen deductions. I must say, given how much you still don't... However, While you were able to decode all the information on the... When we were at the ruins, I tried to decipher the hidden information recorded in the slates. Now that the slate collection is complete, I shall make another... I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with all the people of Fontaine. Your hypotheses regarding the origin of Fontanians and the sin of the Hydro Archon were both correct. In the Fontaine of old, the previous Hydro Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land. The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves, expressed to the Hydro Archon their desire to become of a similar kind. However, even though water as an element is intricately linked with the power of life, the Hydro Archon, as one of the seven, did not possess the authority to create a new form of human life. Not one to give in, she eventually found a way to create permanent humanoid bodies for her familiars by appropriating the power of this planet's primordial sea. She poured primordial seawater into the Oceanids' blood vessels, creating humanoid mimics in the process. But if Fontanians were to ever come into direct contact with water from the primordial sea, the power within their bodies would escape these artificial restraints and return to the sea. As a result, their forms would collapse, and they would be reverted to their original forms as Oceanids. Of course, the Hydro Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race. And thus, the Hydro Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea. That is the true history of how the people of Fontaine first came into being.
So we were all Oceanids before we turned into human beings?
That's way too much information for me. I think I'm just going to pretend that I never heard a single thing. Wait, but if that's the truth, we can't let the Hydro Archon be sentenced to death. After all, her only sin was creating us.
This really might be too much information for your regular Fontanian, but it does answer a lot of our questions.
Alas, your hypothesis regarding the third and fourth stone slates was inaccurate. The slates' respective positions are, in fact, a key point of the visual on the third slate is how all the individuals depicted in the water are humans rather than Oceanids. They have not been dissolved, which implies the nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro, as well as the nation of Trials and Justice. Instead, you may also recall Navia's experience. When she fell into the sea, her consciousness was surrounded by that of many others who intended to hold a trial to determine her fate. Therefore, the meaning of that the people of Fontaine shall try the Hydro Archon at the court of... Yes,
I think I'm following now. So, what you're saying, in truth, everything we've done has happened
What should we do?
Huh. No matter what.
If that's the case, does that mean the scene in the fourth slate?
Traveler, I would like to point out another small fallacy in your deduction about the fourth slate. However, I believe that rather than being as for the root cause of the catastrophe, this eruption was just a small warning of the things to...
It was both dream.
If we're talking about a true culprit, that could only be that thing inside the primordial sea, right?
The truth, the original sin, the trial, and the root cause of the disaster.
It's way too close! How did that thing just burst into the Opera House? Wait, was that the huge whale you saw in your dream?
So we've met it at last. I understand very well why it has chosen to make an appearance here. That whale does not belong to Tevat. It is a monster that has traversed the stars. It has been greedily consuming the energy from the planet's primordial sea, using it to grow. That is the main cause. And once it has finished consuming all of the energy contained...
You said that when the Hydro Archon first created Fontanians out of Ocean...
Precisely. That whale finds the blood of Fontanians nigh impossible. Therefore, when it left the primordial sea, it decided to make its next stop a packed opera house full of food.
We just barely managed to push it back, right? In that case, won't it come back to target the people again once it's managed to recover its strength?
That is correct. Indeed, it is more accurate to say that we should thank that Harbinger for buying us some time. Without him, the whale would have likely come. From the way he looked, he must have been fighting the creature for quite a long time.
That battle maniac. We've always known that he had a special connection with that whale, but we definitely didn't expect it to help us out like this. Anyway, now that we know that this whale is the actual cause of the disaster recorded in the prophecy, all we need to do to stop the prophecy would be to find a way.
It is too late. It had already absorbed too much of the primordial sea's energy before we could notice it. Even if the entirety of Tevat were to be destroyed, it could still survive.
That's not something I will accept. We've already done everything we can, and we even found the true culprit. We've come so far.
Indeed. That's not how a grand performance should end.
I'll fight it to the end, no matter what.
So the prophecy will be fulfilled no matter what, huh?
The prophecy. Yes. What has been prophesied will be fulfilled. Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods, could things be happening in hidden corners where the gods' gaze does not fall? Ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter what will happen in Tevat's future. All you need to do is to play your part.
What's happening with the aura trees?
I believe it is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
Farina! No, I still need answers.
You...
Sorry. That shocked expression on your face is just too amusing. I couldn't help myself.
You are not Farina. Who are you?
Ah, the sweet sound of bewilderment. Marvelous. A sure sign that my attempt to deceive everyone was a resounding success. But to answer your question, I am Focalor. You know, the god.
Focalor, why did you deceive us?
Oh, that wasn't my goal, of course. Goodness, no. But I had to fool everyone else too, if I was to stand any chance of deceiving the heavenly principles.
Deceiving the heavenly principles?
It's all because of that pernicious prophecy. Dreadful, wasn't it? Everyone doomed to dissolve. Fontaine condemned to be flooded. One was not amused. In fact, one was positively bemused when that problem was thrust upon me by my dearest predecessor. That's the former Hydro Archon Egeria, for the uninitiated. It hardly gets more disastrous than a preordained national catastrophe, now does it? She knew full well that the prophecy would surely come to pass. And as one of the seven, she also knew full well that one defies the heavenly principles at one's peril. So yes, as you have no doubt surmised, it was a rather impossible situation that I found myself in. I spent a terribly long time mulling it over, alone on the ocean floor. And I was almost growing barnacles by the time I finally realized there was only one possible solution to this confounding conundrum. I had to outwit the heavenly principles.
Crow comes to the part where it's horny.
Allow the prophecy to be fulfilled, ostensibly at least, while saving everyone at the same time. I'm a genius, I know. I can only assume that's why Egeria chose me as her successor. Although, looking back now, it was hardly the inheritance one dreams of. Between the task of saving the nation, the quotidian duties of the Hydro Archon, and not to mention the original sin of creating a new race of humans, I dare say she left me quite a colossal mess to clean up. But one can only play the hand one is dealt. I did not choose this, any more than I chose to be one of her Oceanid familiars.
So you were also once one of the Oceanids, transformed into a human by Egeria's hand?
Yes, I was. I always dreamed of becoming human. And I still do, even now. In my eyes, to be human is to be part of the greatest opera ever known. After becoming a god, I separated my divinity from my body and spirit, leaving behind only a self that was as naive and bewildered as my past self on her first day as a human being. The me you see before you now is that divinity. And the human counterpart I left behind, I named Farina. She could feel joy, sorrow, and everything in between. She could be as vain and conceited, or as meek and vulnerable as she wished. Her strengths were of a kind only a human could possess, as were her shortcomings. But in my eyes, Farina's humanity was what made her perfect. She was perfectly human in every way. The person I always wanted to be. Anyway, so then I cursed her. All part of the plan, of course. The plan to deceive the heavenly principles. Do you still remember the final scene of the prophecy? The Hydra Archon alone, weeping on her throne. In order that the prophecy might appear fulfilled, I invited Farina to be an actress, to play the part of the Hydro Archon in the prophecy. Under the curse I placed on her, so long as I, Focalor's divinity, continued to exist, she could not die. But nor was she free to live her life in the pursuit of happiness. Instead, she was forced to take the stage in the opera house, to embrace the role of leading lady, to forever play the part of the god from the prophecy, all to create a deceitful appearance of that prophecy coming to pass. I suppose now you probably understand why your court is called the Opera Epiclese.
But Farina is only human, isn't she? Even though she has had a long life, her mind is no stronger than that of any other ordinary human being. I cannot begin to fathom what she has had to endure. It must have been torture for her.
It has indeed. And although she is, in a sense, me in human form, I most definitely owe her an apology for it. It's been 500 years, and all along, she's been playing her part in the most unimaginably long, unbearably lonely, and agonizingly painful opera of all time.
Yahoo!
Oh? Who permitted you to come onto this stage? Now, all right. It is not my intent to reprimand you. There is no need to state your... I am Focalor. The eyes of countless Fontanians are upon me. I must, at all times, display the utmost elegance and nobility. Dear audience, the performance is experiencing a technical difficulty, but worry not. The guards shall resolve it soon enough. Let's play! Hey, what gives? The audience is still watching me, you know. Guards? Wait, where are the guards? Guards!
Hey! Ha! Yeah! Ha! Gah! Ha! Ha! Ha!
Farina. Huh? Who's that? Who's calling me? Where are you? Be not nervous. Be not afraid. I am before you. Wait a moment. You're near me? How... Mirror me.
What do you wish to say?
The prophecy. Have you heard of it?
What prophecy? Wait. I know. I think. I don't know why, but it's in my head somehow. The people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain, weeping on her throne.
Oh.
What's going on? I can't seem to remember any...
Yes, it will. And that is why I've come to you. Disaster will come to Fontaine sooner or later. Things will develop just as the prophecy declared.
But doesn't that mean everyone will die?
Oh, don't worry. Magical meetings exist in this world precisely to give people a chance to turn things around. It is the reason why you met me today. I will tell you how to save everyone, but you may have to suffer somewhat.
Oh, so there's still hope after all. Goodness, you frightened me. You spoke so much and with so much certainty. As for the suffering, well, I will admit that the first thing that came to mind was, why do I have to be the one to suffer? But if the prophecy will come true, I'll also die anyway, right? So if I've already met you as my magical meeting in this world, if there were scales, with all the people of Fontaine on one side, and my pain on the other, is it not obvious where the scales should tilt?
You truly are the perfect human. My ideal. I suppose this would also be the justice that belongs to you.
Huh?
Don't worry, it's nothing. Listen well. Fontaine has just lost its Hydro Archon. I need you to play a role. That of the new Archon.
Play as a god?
That's right. You must begin a never-ending masquerade. You must never let anyone suspect your identity. If you can keep it up, then I shall have my way of defying this prophecy. But should your identity be revealed, then all hope will be lost.
But how will I do this? A human assuming the role of a god without being exposed.
Don't worry. What you must do is not to turn yourself into a real god. You simply need to play the role of a god as humans imagine them to be. Being a human yourself, I'm sure you already know what such an entity would be like. Remember, your Maison Cardinalise has announced my accession, but this is my first time facing the people. What should I say to most appear like a god? To be honest, I still don't know. Perhaps I should first try to act natural. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, and welcome to the Opera Epiclese. I'm sure you've all heard about how I have taken on the role of Hydro Archon. Indeed, I am Verena de Fontaine, your new Archon.
Why do you think I hate Celestia?
In truth, I know little about becoming a nation's new god, but it will be my honor to guide you all. As the god Focalor, the god of justice, I shall do all within my power to lead you into an age of fairness and justice. Once again, thank you all for coming. If you should have any questions or suggestions, please send them to the Maison Cardinalise. The future of Fontaine will require us to work together, after all. This should do it. I thought I might stammer, but thankfully, I was able to convey my thoughts just fine.
That's the new Hydro Archon. Is this some kind of joke by the Maison? I would have thought that a being that surpasses humanity would be a bit more...
Hey, did you hear that? She even told us to send her suggestions that—
Shouldn't gods be all-powerful? She's being so modest. What's the difference between her and an ordinary person, then?
If you ask me, perhaps the succession didn't actually happen. She might just be a Maison-backed puppet.
Wait,
And this is why I hate humans.
why is everyone suspecting me of being a fake? Oh, this is bad. If I get exposed here, there'll be no saving the people from the prophecy. Right. Mirmi said that I just need to play the role of a god as humans imagine them to be. Calm down, Verena.
Fucking judgmental assholes.
Think. What assertive? With a strong... Now, I was wondering if some weak puppet were to one day come onto the stage and... Well, it seems that you would all see right through them. Having passed my test, you are qualified to witness wondrous trials alongside my august. You may consider my previous act a door gift of sorts. I thought it was a debut that suited the atmosphere. Now then, let us be reintroduced.
Ah, so that was just a performance. How could I have forgotten that we were inside an opera house?
Her personality. It's quite shocking, to be honest, but I suppose it's a better look than before. Such a fascinating and bold deity. How wonderful! Our future may yet be bright after all.
It seems I've turned them around. Best follow this flow and restart
Pretentious,
my accession
snooty assholes.
My dear people, whether you acknowledge me or not, whether you trust me or nay, I say to you, keep faith in your ardor for justice. We have heard it said that this nation's sins can no longer be washed away. Well, I say that justice is most fragrant when it blooms amid sin. The scales of justice should not weigh heavy in the hands of its god. On one side, it must carry fairness and justice. And on the other, praise and applause. May law be the prayer on our lips. May judgment be our worship. Let us light the fires and drink to the future of Fontaine. There is no trouble in this world that justice cannot solve. All that is needed is for you, my people, to believe in it, heart and soul. So long as I, the Archon Focalor, stand within the Opera Epiclese, so long as I stand before the Oratrice, I shall even judge the gods of this world!
Did this before put a mask? It hurts, but once I threw away the mask I became wilder and set things on fire.
Lady Farina, here are today's case reports, as well as a summary of the follow-up for your
Come now, was I not just at the Opera House in person? Besides, none of these trials were the one that I'm—
if I may be so impertinent, what kind of trial?
A magnificent, dramatic, and wondrous trial. A trial to—
That's true, I fear I lack the ability to grasp your—
No need for fright, and do not take what I said before too seriously. Go now, do your duties. The trial I await. It will come one day.
Lady Farina, I don't know what to say. Thank you for agreeing to see me.
No need to thank me. Or rather, thank your own sense of perseverance instead. Long have you stood in line to meet me, have you not? Oh, I'm afraid that's just an inevitable consequence of my divine charm. All right, Deuteria, is it? How is your son's illness?
You remembered me, and you knew of my family, too. He is doing much better now. In fact, he is far more of an ardent believer than I.
500 years of putting a mask
To
on.
seek an audience with you, and to bring your words back to him.
Oh, good. Very good. If this should happen again in the future, please do not hesitate to come and tell me. Going down to citizens' homes
I wonder
every so
why she
often,
haven't killed
while not
anyone.
usual practice, should serve as a fine change of pace.
You're such a gentle and wise God. Thank you once again, on behalf of my son.
No human can contain that madness.
Lady Farina, here are the latest hydrological reports. As for the specific parameters you asked to—
I see. It's as I thought then. As your god, I did already expect this, but I wanted to— all manner of signs indicate that the prophecy will still come to pass.
Well, as I understand it, the
Really? Have they found anything?
I'm afraid that they haven't found any effective
Oh, is that so? Well, no wonder. This issue has reached the realm of the gods after— The day is finally over. I haven't had a moment to breathe this whole time. But it's good to see that everything's getting on track. There are no longer any voices of suspicion. Maybe this is fine. I just need to keep going, and everyone will be saved.
I know if I was Furina, I would have became a dark hero.
Don't think too hard about this. You need rest. Tomorrow's a new day.
Lady Furina, here are the new trial reports for the latest cases, as well as a summary of the follow-up.
There'll be no need for that. I've seen them already. There's no need to go back over scenes I've witnessed in person before.
Lady Furina, I've waited so long for this chance to see you in this manner.
Indeed, my dear, loyal citizen. This joyous moment is an honor for us both.
Lady Furina, we're detecting significant hydrological anomalies near Poisson.
Understood. Keep monitoring. Keep me informed should anything come up at the Institute. I don't think I let anything slip today. I must show the people that there is nothing to worry about. I just don't know when these days will end. I feel utterly exhausted. Best to rest early today, too.
Lady Furina, I've heard that the first member of our family who was honored to...
And what a fine family yours is indeed. It brings me great joy to meet such a faithful believer. A descendant of a line most ardent.
Surely you exaggerate, Lady Furina. My lady?
What is it, good citizen?
Oh, are you crying?
Uh-huh. Oh, really now? I didn't even notice. This must be the overflow of hydro from my person. Well, can't quite help being the god whose dominion is the waters, can I?
No wonder. No wonder. A manifestation of your power, then. Oh, Archon, I am honored to have witnessed it. Honored indeed.
So interminable. So lonely. Just how much longer? Hundreds of years must have passed by now. Perhaps the show must go on for hundreds more. I never imagined.
Everyone hug her.
It would hurt so much. Have I reached my limit? No. I want to tell someone, anyone, about this. But would that not destroy all I've done so far? I have conducted so many investigations across the... All I can do is keep heart. I must maintain...
Furina, you don't have to shoulder this burden alone. Although I don't know what you might be keeping from everyone.
I want to give her a hug.
More people are more than willing to share your burden with you.
share. That's impossible. It was fated right—
But even if your burden doesn't need to be shared, you can still choose to confide in someone. Just share it with me.
A witness. And if Tevat is, in its entirety, a show on a stage, then you're just a spectator, aren't you? If that's the case... She's right. I could confide in her, couldn't I? But if things don't play out as expected... But no, Farina. You shouldn't be selfish. But what if... Farina, you've worked so hard for so long. Is it such an outrageous thing to do anyway? To find someone in whom you can confide. If you let this opportunity slip through your fingers, it might never think about it. Long and hard. No, I have nothing to say. I am Farina, the Archon of Fontaine. Everything will surely get better. All you need to do, dear spectator, is to witness my performance until the curtains fall.
Fine.
So even Farina doesn't know the truth? You've never once let her in on the full plan?
Yes, it had to be done. To deceive the heavenly principles, you must first deceive yourself. She did very well. If she had let her resolve falter even once in these 5 centuries, Fontaine would have been doomed to the most tragic fate. It seems that trusting humanity was the right decision after all.
I believe that I understand how your deception works. But that is only half the truth, is it not? How would you build on this foundation to save the people of Fontaine? That is the most important thing.
Ah, good, good. Of course, the Iudex of Fontaine has pinpointed the crux of the issue. I'm sure you've long sensed that the Oratrice is no simple machine, yes?
I've always suspected that it had its own consciousness. And Linny did mention that he heard a human voice within the core chamber. It now seems that that person was you, hidden within the machine all along. Am I right?
And then I became one with the Oratrice, taking Fontaine's gnosis with me. Yes, it would seem so, wouldn't it? Alas, your understanding of this device still lacks sufficient depth. In truth, it is no enactor of justice. It is, in fact, a device created to kill the god of justice.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, you have it. And to be more precise, not only will the Oratrice take down the god of justice, it will also take down the divine throne upon which she has been placed. I mean, did you think I would be the sort to enjoy peaceful repose while Farina suffered? My work over these last 500 years
Hi,
has been to
prankster.
constantly accumulate indemnitium within the Oratrice. But really, some have already discovered that only a small fraction of the energy generated by the device was ever used to provide power to Fontaine. The vast majority has been, had to be, accumulated to enact this death sentence.
It was all a part of your plan then? Both the trial and the sentence?
Indeed. This power, accrued over 5 centuries, could have sustained Fontainians for millennia, had it only been used for that purpose. Almost all of it has now been stored within the Oratrice. But only power of this magnitude could hope to destroy the Hydro Archon's divine throne, shaking the rules established by Celestia, and breaking through the institution that is the Seven.
So the Oratrice's call for death was for neither Farina nor Focalor, but for the Hydro Archon. The destruction of that divine throne. If I do not misunderstand your intent, you must be...
Returning what's rightfully yours to you, of course. In other words, this was all done to return the authority of the Hydro Archon to the Hydro Dragon of this planet.
But...
Oh, what? Getting sad again, are we? The authority of the ancient dragons shall soon be yours once more, O Hydro Dragon Sovereign. And this is the face you make.
all you've done throughout the years is just so you can sacrifice yourself at the very end.
I've never quite seen it that way, you know. Even now, I'm quite pleased at how well my deception worked. Hydro Dragon, don't cry. I must say, had it been within my rights, I would have loved to judge the heavenly principles themselves. Were they not guilty of essentially the same crime? Egeria stole the power of the primordial sea, and the heavenly principles stole the power you ancient dragons possessed. I, for my part, am the god of justice. And is it not just that your original powers should be returned to you? Speaking of justice, I have always believed that justice lies in the process of pursuing human existence itself. So, if the theft of the primordial sea's might was Fontaine's original sin, then, leaving matters of procedural right and wrong aside, the descent of the Fontainians as humans and their right to exist in this world would be Fontaine's original justice. In other words, existence was Egeria's justice, and to me, justice is the continuation of that existence. Defying the prophecy and ensuring that Fontaine's people shall live on, that should be the justice enthroned over all others. At this point, we, whether it be myself or all other Fontainians, have shouldered the burden of this sin for far too long. Iudex Neuvillette, the highest judge in our land, when you regain your full power as an elemental sovereign, what verdict shall you pass upon us?
So when I was invited to the court of Fontaine to serve as Iudex, I see now that that was your idea too. At last, I now understand the true purpose behind this position. In the beginning, I was uninterested in human existence. But these 5 centuries of living alongside them have gradually brought about mutual understanding between us. And I have even attempted to feel as they feel. You are a devious one, Focalor. Things being as they are, surely you know that I could never declare them to be guilty.
The hour of my execution is almost here. For the sinner, the curtain call has come. I know I may not sound it, but faced with death, I find myself a little afraid. Perhaps this is one thing both gods and humans have in common. Farewell, Neuvillette. I hope you've enjoyed the part you played these 500 years.
Judex Nuvelet, hereby declare, people of Fontaine, your sins are forgiven.
What just happened? Has the death sentence been carried out?
I just realized something. They used France, the country of revolts and guillotine. As Fontaine's Arc. And I kinda connected the dots. Mary Aunite. So yay, kinda ironic if you ask me. Poor Furina, though.
Was that bright light some sort of misdirection? I have a feeling.
But since we're all still alive and haven't been dissolved,
It's time to end this. We must mete out punishment to that beast. I have gained the strength sufficient to deal with it. Through certain means, I now have the ability to separate the power of the Primordial Sea from that creature. We should seize the opportunity to pursue our quarry. Traveler, now that the oratories can no longer function, I require an executor to help me mete out justice. The root of the calamities befalling Fontaine. The beast that enacts the prophecy. Its name is the all-devouring narwhal. Come with me, traveler. The hour of execution has come.
So my Japanese blood is boiling.
We're going to execute it? But how are we going to do that? It's huge!
I've already done my best to separate the power of the Primordial Sea from the whale.
Whale hunt
Considering the
Banzai.
size of the beast, I cannot reach the power source. Unless we can find a way to attack it from within. I shall share a part of the ancient dragon's power. We shall look for an opening together.
Stabilize!
I can feel its sorrow turning into hostility. Gather! The all-devouring narwhal cannot resist its instinct to devour. Continue to trigger its hostility. Chance will present itself.
Why is there a hole-looking thingy over there? It looks really scary.
Yahoo!
Manifest the authority of the ancient dragon. I have granted you my protection. Do not fear. Seize the moment and use my power to suppress its root from within.
Time for takeoff.
Torn to oblivion! There is no escape!
Solidify!
Brace yourself. Everyone hold hands. Think you can get away?
I will have order.
Make yourselves at home.
Let's play. Here we go.
Everyone hold hands.
Shine down!
Stabilize!
I see everything. Share my knowledge.
Thanks for helping with the cleanup. Should have been my job.
Did she eat chilled?
Oh well. It was just supposed to be a short private training session for me. I didn't think that my disciple and my master's pet would start brawling in the meantime. Oh, actually, I had a feeling that it would happen at some point.
That power. Who are you exactly?
Paimon has an idea. From what she said earlier, she must be Child's master. Skirk, right? It's just that he gave us the impression that she was the less talkative person.
I simply did not have anything to say to the weak. But you, on the other hand, managed to defeat the all-devouring narwhal without using power from beyond this world. So you may speak to me as equals. I have to agree. It's a strange use of a planet's primordial waters just to raise an all-devouring narwhal. That kind of power is wasted on it. It's not cooperative. It eats too much. And I have more important things to do with my time than pet sitting. The only thing that creature has going for it is its looks. All in all, it fails as a pet.
Miss Skirk? I think you might have missed the point.
The point
Eat the
being-
child.
Well, being that this pet almost destroyed an entire nation. So what sort of person is your master? Well, Child's master's master. Wait, is that right?
Oh, right. So you don't know him.
Sorry, I assumed you did. His name is Sertologi.
I am unfamiliar with the...
Huh. Some master isn't sufficiently famous. How should I describe him then?
The foul?
Still nothing?
Ooh, that one we've heard! Ryan Doctor's part of the Hexen Circle. She's Albedo's mom, right?
Oh, so you do know that name. To be honest, I also heard all of those names and titles from my master. I don't actually know them either. But I suppose you understand now, yes? My master is likely a similar sort to Ryandotter. They are both pursuing some form of perfection.
Wait! Didn't you also mention a visionary person? Paimon didn't quite catch their name.
Actually, never mind that. I believe it expedient to inform you that the all-devouring narwhal used up nearly all its strength fighting you. Such roiling hydro energies will prove difficult for the planet's deep seas to digest. As such, the Fontaine back on the surface has most likely been thrown into chaos. In other words, the prophecy that you've been fretting over should now be in full swing.
What?
Not to worry. Focalor has already managed to deceive the Heavenly Principle.
In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only Farina will remain, weeping on her throne. Only then will the sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away.
Hey! Help! Over here!
All hands, initiate emergency rescue!
Hurry! Hey, lend a hand!
Airship inbound.
Look! The water's receding!
Aka soon to be the train in Star Rail.
It's a miracle! We didn't dissolve. The prophecy was wrong. The prophecy was wrong.
Charlotte? What could she want with Lapine Pauline?
Pretty please with the cherry on top, Charlotte. I read that a gang of criminals tricked the Gardamex by disguising themselves as blubber beasts. I've invested all my savings into graph adversarial technology and even taken out a sizable bank loan. I'm begging you like the beggiest.
Okay. I need you to calm down a little. I admire your passion for your research, and I don't mean to dash your hopes but I'm afraid I'm not joking. The Blubber Beast incident was a short story mailed to us by an anonymous amateur author, written in—
Oh! Paimon sees what sounds like the report Lapine Pauline read in the—
Funnily enough, I actually remember being in a meeting where the editing team was debating the potential, but to our surprise, in truth, Gardamex are extremely sophisticated in their capabilities. Since we ran that story, the Maison Gardiennage has made a slew of arrests, including, one Phantom Blubber Beast, a Titanic Red Crown Finch, and a Spectre Man. So I knew this story had helped out law enforcement, but this is the first time I'm learning of an innocent citizen being deceived by it, and investing so much Mora for nothing.
Uh-oh. So Lapine Pauline's whole research project is based on a fictional story? Which means we're not gonna get a big bonus after all. But more importantly, she's gonna lose everything she's invested.
Traveler! Paimon! You're back! I was in the area taking some photos for a story when I got to talking to Miss Lapine Pauline. She was hoping I could write an article to spread awareness about image recognition technology. She even paid me for the article and gave me one of her prototype devices. I unfortunately had to dash her hopes, and I'm afraid all your hard work was in vain too.
This is a new situation for us. It's such a pity. It seems like the author was only trying to—
Wait, Miss Lapine Pauline? What are you doing?
I'm gonna pick a fight with a Gardamex, head to the opera at Biclez, and get a 1. That way, I won't have to repay my debts.
Whoa! There's no need to go that far. I mean, come on. Look at you. You wouldn't actually, instead of going into the technicalities of that, it's
270.
Okay. Well, escaping to the Fortress of Meripede over a sum like that seems like a last resort.
Sure, not anymore. I used to be an equipment supplier to the Fontaine Research Institute before that blew to pieces, and now I'm just a small-time engineer. I scraped together some savings over the past few years, but I put every last Mora into this project, and now I'm left with nothing. It's not just my savings that are gone, it's my whole future as a graph adversarial technology specialist and my dreams of becoming a billionaire one day. My life is over.
Don't despair, Miss Lapine Pauline. This prototype you've given me, the camera lens for image recognition sample collection. It's really quite the rapid focal length adjustment is a very useful function in its own right. It's sure to make so your research efforts thus far are by no means in vain. Absolutely. I've been working as a journalist for the Steambird for a long time now. No one understands the issues we journalists face on a day-to-day basis better than me. So keep calm, take heart, and start thinking about mass production. In the meantime, I'll show your invention to all my colleagues to drum up interest in your product.
I can't believe it! If this is true, then I can look into setting up a whole camera lens development pipeline. Maybe I should consider taking out another loan.
Come on! Stop daydreaming about your pipelines for a minute. Just take it one step at a time and see how it goes. There's no sense in putting all your eggs in one basket before things are even off the ground.
And I can probably speak to some people I know and license my image recognition device to a workshop to raise some funds. I can't believe there's no time to lose. I need to get to work. Early bird gets the worm.
Can you believe her? Paimon's pretty sure our advice went in one ear and—
It's understandable. When inspiration and passion strike at the same time, it's all too easy to throw yourself headfirst into your work and forget about everyone around you. A lot of journalists are the same way when they're first starting out. But don't you worry. I'm gonna write an article on all this, and I'll be checking in on her regularly. Her research has the potential to benefit the entire journalistic community. I'll give her plenty of input to stop her from going down any rabbit holes, and make sure mass production of her lens can begin as soon as possible.
It's reassuring to know that you'll be looking out for her.
Actually, you know what? Why don't you two take this prototype lens? It takes the right
Thanks a lot, no bonus, no biggie. This makes...
You're welcome. The boundaries between real... Yes, that's how I'll freak...
Where Bongo head? Hell yes, Bongo head.
Wouldn't gliding be faster?
Everyone hold hands. Hey! attacks post-disaster rebuilding. I recently visited Poisson to meet with Miss Navia, spokesperson of the Spina di Rosula, and we spoke about Poisson's present and future. Old soil can still give birth to new bloom, Miss Navia stated. Hope is like seeing a small cookie when you're starving late at night. You just need a little of it. Skyship Winglet, lunar brain of the Fontaine Research Institute. The various disputes that have arisen on account of Mr. Edwin have suddenly become a shield over the Institute, with Jurier turning out to be a once overlooked hidden gem. People always call the first researcher mad, but few know what to call the second. And should that latter person achieve a miracle, they would find it all the harder to find a word with which to classify him and his team. Wow! Paimon barely recognizes the people in the reports. Are those really Jurier and Navia? They sound like real big shots.
What do you think? Pretty enthralling, huh? The Steambird's idea was pretty simple. With the disaster just having passed, we would print a free edition packed to the margins with good news to calm people down. The value for these big scoops lies in their inevitable follow-ups. We'll publish further reports and go into the stories behind those people. Edwin's assistant, Jurier, created a true flying ship, while Navia is leading people in the reconstruction of their home. I'm sure that these stories could draw even your well-traveled eye.
Paimon's curious too! Wait a minute. Didn't we watch everything happen from start?
And that's exactly why I'd like you to come conduct interviews with me. You're the best incubators of news, if you haven't noticed. And also...
Are you sure? Hasn't he turned you down several times already?
Oh, this time will be different. Come on! Let's head to Poisson first, and then make a trip to the fortress. There are some things you'll only know when you get there.
Oh, it's you.
Hey, we're just having a look around.
I'm here to update myself on how things are going here. Oh, the Fatui are here too!
Let me introduce you. This is Mr. Garun Snezhevich. He represented the Knave in sending us a large amount of supplies, and is helping with our work. Our residents are hard at work as well. Thanks to everyone, work is progressing nicely. We've lost a lot of people, but we're moving forward. That will have to be enough.
Hello,
I
Miss
still
Charlotte.
don't trust
I'm a
the
big fan of
Fatui.
yours. I especially like that article you wrote last year about Fontaine's stray cats. But if you don't mind, could you not emphasize our role too much in your report? It's not charity we're doing here. We just happen to share the same interests as the Spina.
I get where you're coming from, but keep it as simple as possible. Or would you be willing to feature as friendly neighbors?
That would be fine. Thanks.
Except Knave, she looks
back
okay,
too.
but I am not sure.
We finished laying down the construction materials. It'll be another
Huh? You're here too, Clorinde?
Well, her reputation's greatly risen after that whole duel business with Miss Farina. So she's here in Poisson to wait out the heat. All right. She really came here to help me out.
There's too much to consider in the reconstruction of Poisson. The Spina has need of more decision makers. And, well, I do already happen to be connected to Mr. Callis.
Oh, wait just a moment. Do you mind me asking a few questions? You know, about how you felt before the duel, about what it was like facing down a god. There's lots of exciting material there, I bet.
Forget it. I'm sure you can find a better theme than that, Miss Charlotte.
I see you're the same as always. couldn't you do me a favor for Navia's
Just make
sake?
sure we can summon
Well,
her.
if we're talking about doing things for my sake, you might as well just take a few more photos of me. Or of the Traveler. It's better than wasting time persuading Chlorand at any rate.
Of course I will. I'm not gonna let her off that easy. All right, then everyone who wants to be in the
Not
photo,
like that
gather
fire
up.
bitch in Inuyasuma.
How did it go? Was it a good shot?
Not bad. Your addition really helped the composition of the picture. All right, hang on a moment. Let me snap a few more shots. All right, that should do it. I'll be back here later anyway, so let's call it a day.
You're very quick.
Speed is of the essence when it comes to the news, and freshness is the key. Also, not to brag, but I'm pretty good at building connections. Who knows? I might eventually get that interview with you after all, Miss Chlorand.
Wow, you really do have that never say die
The
spirit.
Fatui Harbinger in Samaro I Wanna Strange.
I'll hazard a guess that this is how you got that interview at the Fortress of Maripede.
Daughter I Wanna Strangle.
Whoa, you're well informed. Let me make a guess too. I asked Sijuin who told Monsieur Nervillette, and he told you, right?
That's a very complete information chain.
In truth, all Monsieur Neuvillette asked me was, when did the fortress become so friendly towards the media? I told him that it was best not to speak too soon. There's no guarantee that Ridesley will make a personal appearance.
You're right. I've got to treasure every moment I have with them. In which case, I'll be making a move first.
Stay safe now. And tell me if you hear anything interesting. I'll treat you to afternoon tea in exchange.
Wow, guess we're here again, huh? There's a real nostalgic feeling to this place.
Looks like you've been missing us.
Dude! Did you come all the way to the entrance to greet us?
Of course. I'm here to welcome you and our dear Miss Charlotte, whom our good head nurse recommended to me.
It's an honor to finally meet the much-rumored Duke.
No need to thank me. But that said, I shouldn't be the focus of your interview. I trust you recall our agreement?
Of course, of course.
All right then, this way.
Hey, no need to be so, Miss Shaw.
It would seem that Miss Lorvine doesn't want her face to appear beside that of Mr. Jurier,
Sir, please don't say things.
But it looks like dear Mr. Jurier denies it. Might this interview be very important to you then?
No, I just...
Now, I might not look it, but I actually did meet Mr. Edwin once. And I'll be honest, I enjoyed chatting with you more. You've definitely got more of that genius vibe going on. The boat that brought about a miracle, the ark that saved the people. Why, you recreated a myth back there, like an emissary of legend. Still, if I might ask, where's that flying ship now?
Huh! Looks like Charlotte's trying to get herself another exclusive linguistic scoop.
I have to apologize, but that ship is presently in the bowels of our factory. I'm afraid it won't be easy for you to get a shot of it.
Really? Well, then in that case...
You already know my answer, I'm afraid. Best you interview our head nurse instead. Or perhaps you'd like to take another photo of this couple of researchers?
Did you really have to use the word couple? Well, then, 2 solo photos will do.
Is my hair messed up? Please, someone help me have a look.
Things sure are getting pretty lively here. We've seen this kind of thing before.
Sundear lover.
Oh, seems like everyone's here. Would any of you like to try this?
Ah, see.
Hey, Miss Charlotte. Why don't you, take some pretty photos of our head nurse? Sure. Come on, Miss Siegewayne. Over this way. Let's find a brighter spot.
Sure.
They're scared of her drink.
Do I have to smile? So, how have things been at the fortress?
Same old, as you can see. Fontaine's undergone some changes, but this place is still more or less the same.
Other than that flying ship, it got a tad too much attention, I think.
That's why I decided to let the interview go through. We should direct more public opinions toward the behind-the-scenes heroes. Am I right, Mr. Jurier? Miss Lorvine?
You're too kind, sir. I believe that you too should have your day in the sun. Not that you would want that, which is a pity.
I'll just leave the spotlight to you two. I see. Lots of things happened that day, huh? Anyway, regarding that Harbinger, I'm not sure you remember, but his 3 young followers are still waiting for his return.
He sure did win them over, huh?
I'll tell them that there's good news and bad news. The good being that their boss seems fine, and the bad being that they must face extended sentences for abetting his escape.
Oh, actually, what about you? Are things gonna change for you too?
What change can there be? The fortress will keep chugging along, and so will my duties. As to what Miss Farina's departure will mean for the nation, and if our laws and governance will be transformed, we'll leave those to the folks in the overworld.
Hey everyone, the photo shoot's done.
Good. In that case, let's call it a day here.
Thanks for your cooperation. Come on, Traveler, let's go. Till next time, everyone.
There'll be a next time?
Maybe. Who knows? I might write a story about the underwater factory next time. All right, last stop, the docks.
It stopped raining already? A shame. I wanted to play some more.
Navia mentioned that she stayed in touch with Linny and the others after working together. Apparently, they've been at the docks distributing these strange pockets the whole time.
Traveler, Paimon. And Miss Charlotte.
Would you like a magic pocket?
What sort of gadget is it?
It's a wondrous bag that can be used to carry many things. The water level has returned to normal, but if you see any of your things floating around, you can use this to carry them. Or
you could trick a friend into doing it for you.
Trick a friend? I wonder which of my friends would fall for that.
You could just make a friend like Fremine here. Isn't that right, Fremine?
Is this what you meant by, I'll help you make some more friends?
To be honest, that sounds pretty sweet. Could I have your contact, please?
Sure. Please, write down my address.
You sure are working hard to help Fremine socialize.
He was the one who proposed doing this. He even wants to assist in our magic shows.
Yes, I was planning to first introduce Pear as an assistant, and later Fremine himself. In the future, I think we can leave underwater escape magic to him too.
That said, would anyone want to see a diver escape underwater?
Oh, it'll work out. Every journey begins with the first step. He'll become a part of our show eventually.
Lynette.
It seems that Monsieur Neuvillette has had a significant change of heart regarding the matter.
So there's some reason for this that only Neuvillette knows about?
I suspect you'll have to ask him about that.
Isn't he real busy and stuff? But back to the topic. The Gnosis was given to the Knave, right?
They say that he's returned to Snezhnaya to recover from his wounds. I hear that the recent disaster really did a number on his health.
That's true. When you think about it, we've had loads of run-ins with the Fatui. To think we'd be allied with them this time.
So shocked by such a simple switching of sides?
Father!
Well, what do you know? Come to the docks to see how my children are doing and meet the Traveler by chance. Please do not pay my accomplishments in Fontaine too much mind.
Are you going to take the Gnosis back to Snezhnaya?
That is our duty as Harbingers, yes. Don't be too preoccupied with sides. The goal of the Fatui concerns not a single place or person, but the entire world. With such a grand goal in mind, it is inevitable that we must wear many masks. Switching my masks is something I've always done.
Fatui is gonna kill the celestial gods, aren't they?
Well, that depends on many things. No one truly knows what the future holds. What good is honesty if you can't rely on it forever? As for you, I very much look forward to our next collaboration. Good things cannot be achieved alone, and you've proved yourselves to be great partners. A vision? All right. I'll remember to return it. Thank you for keeping it safe for him this entire time.
And that's a wrap for me. Huh? You're...
Greetings, Miss Journalist.
Hello. If I'm not mistaken, there...
That is correct. so forgive me, but I will not be able to serve as a subject in your article. However, feel free to write as much as you'd like about our dear magicians and our upcoming rookie talent.
I will.
The sea breeze is quite pleasant. I shall continue my walk while the weather remains so agreeable. Farewell.
Farewell, Father.
Oh, she has such an intimidating presence. I didn't even dare to take a picture. Thankfully, I've already wrapped up all my pre-scheduled interviews. Thank you all. This'll be more than enough for me to write about, I'm sure.
Don't be too nervous. Why don't you take a magic pocket before you go? Here, traveler.
I still
Paimon,
don't
you
trust
take
them.
one
I
too.
haven't met their archon yet.
That's right. Funny. I was giving out magic pockets when we first met too. And what do you know? I'm doing the exact same thing right now. I guess this must be life. We will all follow our own. All right then. We'll be handing out pockets in some other districts later, so we'll get going now.
Well, guess we sent Charlotte off. Shall we go see how Neverlette's doing?
Now where Furina?
The entrance to the fortress! Ooh, he really is there! So, you really are here, Neverlette! Paimon didn't think you were going to have free time this hour of the day.
Really? Oh, I suppose you must have met Mr. Linney. He took the time to greet me earlier when he passed this way. In any case, you came at a good time. I was just considering reaching out to you to set up a meeting, so I may explain some things that I haven't had the time to.
Aw, Paimon's glad that you remembered. Thank you for keeping us on your mind, what with you being busy and all. Alright, let's have it then. How was Fontaine actually saved? The whole business is still quite the mystery to us.
It is strange how words can often leave a bitter taste in the mouth when it finally comes time to say them out loud.
Whoa. So that's what happened? Fusillor destroyed the divine throne of the Hydro Archon and restored your power to you, transforming you into a fully fledged elemental dragon sovereign! But Paimon still doesn't quite get what you did to save the Fontanians from dissolving.
For me, the authority of the ancient dragons refers to absolute control over the hydro element. Fontanians were incomplete humans born of Egeria's use of the power of the primordial sea. But so long as those primordial energies remain within them, I could use the ancient dragon's authority to grant them true blood, after the fashion in which life was first brought into being on this planet. In other words, when I gave my verdict, Fontanians became true humans, and thus would naturally no longer be dissolved by water from the primordial sea.
Fusillor must have counted on you to make that decision as well. Your verdict was the key to making the prophecy appear to have come true. Yeah, and in a manner of speaking, Fusillor finally managed to fulfill the original Hydro Archon's wish to turn Oceanids into real people too!
It seems from your expressions that you still have more things you wish to ask. Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it. I have investigated his case along many avenues, and I have learned that he once fell into an unknown chasm when he was young. But whether it be by sentiment or reason, that should not have been enough to consider him the root cause. As for the judgment passed by the whether it was due to that liability by association, or Focalors deliberately using him to buy time for us on the assumption that he would be able to—
Guess Focalors had Fontanians in mind the whole time. In the end, it was thanks to her that they finally became real humans. Hang on a second. Back when Fontanians hadn't yet become real humans, were the children they had also transformed Oceanids?
Life has always flowed like water. Do you recall how Fontanians would often come to the Fountain of Lucine to pray for children?
Yeah, Lynette said the fountain is—
In truth, even those couples did not know that such prayers were no mere custom, and instead a form of ritual. Those Oceanids who were blessed within the spring water would later descend as new humans in the coming months.
Paimon sorta gets it now. Either way, seems like this ritual won't be of any further use, but it'll probably live on as a local custom.
Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
He gave them the power to fuck.
Yeah, about that. Risley said Farina has already left. What's that all about?
Ah, Lady Farina. The people are only aware that her death sentence has not been carried out. She abdicated the post of Hydro Archon and left affairs related to that title to me, before leaving the Opera House. I related Focalors' words to her faithfully and completely. After hearing them, she seemed neither saddened nor comforted. She simply said that she was tired and needed to rest. Having said that, she then packed her things and moved out of the Opera House, not unlike how an ordinary person might.
But she's still got a place to stay, right?
Novelette now
You need
give
not
you the
worry.
ability to
I will
fuck.
make arrangements to ensure that she will not want for food, clothing, board, or travel. In truth, I am somewhat happy for her. The wear and tear on her spirit will, of course, take time to heal. But now that she no longer has to play the role of Focalors the Hydro Archon, she can finally lay down her burdens and lead a normal—
What about you then? What are your plans now that you've—
After Focalors passed on, the Oratrice also ceased to function. This matter will directly affect our trials. After much careful consideration, I've decided to take over its role in our courts. From now on, I shall hear cases and pass verdicts by my—
Looks like you're still considering stuff from the perspective of the Udex, huh?
As an elemental dragon, there are indeed many things that I must do. But this power and this duty, in a manner of speaking, you could say that both were granted to me. As such, before I attend to my other responsibilities, I must first and foremost continue to serve Fontaine as its highest judge. The duty of the Hydro Sovereign and the duty of the Udex shall coexist within my person. Additionally, the Hydro Archon's departure has brought about another problem, which is that the Opera House shall no longer produce indemnitium.
That's true. That power was derived from the people's faith in the Hydro— Wait, but the various mechs and machines in the city are all still okay.
As I am now, I have full command over New Musia, and it can serve as a complete substitute. Another reason why I cannot quite leave Fontaine immediately.
Wow. This ancient dragon's authority stuff is really quite useful, huh?
Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
Oh, that's right!
Leaving aside their intentionality, the two Fatui Harbingers have indeed done much for us during this crisis. Their sole remaining goal in Fontaine, at least at this point, the Oratrice has ceased to function. The Hydro Archon's divine throne is now no more, and I do not need the Gnosis's power. As such, it has lost all meaning for Fontaine. If the Fatui have impure designs, we might as well accede to their request now, and avoid unnecessary conflict.
What complicated considerations? Paimon thought you were just giving it to them out of gratitude to the knave and as an apology to Child.
Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it. You will soon be heading to Natlan, I presume. I'm afraid that I have little talent as a travel guide, so all I can do is tell you what I know about that land. As far as I'm aware, Natlan can be said to be a nation of dragons.
A nation of dragons? You mean like you?
No, I suspect that I would not find
Dragonkins.
myself welcome there. Unlike ancient dragons such as myself, the dragons of Natlan have undergone long years of development and evolution. Large numbers of them have entered a form of coexistence with humanity. Natlan is also the nation of war. War ravages those lands like an undying flame. There is one other piece of information I got incidentally from my negotiations with the Knave that I believe may be useful to you. The Harbinger known as the Captain
dragons
has thrown
next.
his hat into the endless ring of war.
Huzzah.
Customer. Seriously, everyone?
I suggest that you fully prepare yourself before going to Natlan. In the meantime, Fontaine's doors will always be open to you. Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
Hang on a sec. Paimon still got a question about the Gnosis. When we spoke to Lenny earlier, he mentioned that your attitude towards giving away the Gnosis had clearly changed. We guessed that there might be some reason for it.
No wonder the House of the Hearth is the Fatui's intelligence division. They are certainly sharp. So regarding this specific issue, I was just getting ready to share something with you.
What is it?
In truth, I exchanged some further words with that lady named Skirk after sending you two back to the surface. It went something like this.
Well, we're going to head topside to see what's going on. You hurry over soon as well, all right, Nervalet? Whoa!
What next?
The all-devouring narwhal isn't here, so I'm no longer getting any interference. I can finally catch the scent of your power, what it's made of. It is the authority of the planet's primordial dragons, but with something very similar to a god's curse mixed in. It's quite a novel blend. I'm sure I've encountered something like this before. What was it again?
I do not know what you...
Of course. How could I forget? You should have the remains of the third descender on your person, yes?
Remains? I've never heard of any such thing.
Huh. According to your parlance, I believe it may be called a gnosis.
Well, that much is true. After Focalor's divinity faded, she handed her gnosis to me. But I fear I have never heard of it described in the manner that you just did.
I've been training with my master, the Foul, ever since I was young, and I have never returned to the surface since. So most of the information I possess, I got from him. It is only natural for those who are greater than humanity to possess a different sort of common sense. Regardless, you should probably get rid of objects of misfortune to prevent any disasters from befalling you. To live in itself is a blessing. But once a person dies, the bonds he once had with this world shall all turn to curses.
What do you mean by that?
No need to fret. These are just my personal thoughts, and my reason for no longer wishing to return to the surface.
This third descender you refer to, who are they? And when did they die?
Master never mentioned them to me. Perhaps it just wasn't that important for me to know. If you're interested, though, I could ask him. I'll be sure to pass the answer on to you next time.
Next time? You believe we will meet again?
I do. Wait. I have a disciple of my own, don't I? He can be the messenger then.
That's what she told me. Whether it would prove useful or not, I wanted to pass that information on to you.
The remains of the third descender?
The hell?
So that's what the Gnosis actually are. Paimon just thought they looked...
All the same, assuming that there was no misunderstanding or special metaphor at play, that is what she meant to say.
And she said that it would bring misfortune and that you should check it, which is why you gave it to the Fatui!
If she speaks the truth, then I would simply be putting Fontaine at unnecessary risk by keeping it here. I had guessed that you might already be familiar with this concept, but I did not expect you to be one of them. That means that the Gnosis, which are exceedingly element-compatible and can even enhance elemental abilities, do indeed come from the third descender. I wonder, does your body also possess similar
Shara.
properties?
Like being able to use elemental powers without a vision. That does sort of count as special compatibility, right? No, let's not think about this stuff right now. It just feels creepy. Comparing the Traveler to the dead third descender and all. That's what you say, but this topic still feels like bad luck. Once Child recovers, let's get some more answers out of him. Or go look for his master and get the answers that way.
I too believe it unwise to make too many blind guesses when information is lacking. The same is true of being at court.
Alright. Whatever the case, it seems like the crisis here in Fontaine's over for now.
Yes. All of Focalors' efforts were for this moment as well.
But she sacrificed herself in the end as a god, and she suffered through all those years as a human. Was that really what she wanted?
I suppose that would be the mystery of a god's will. I suspect not. But once in a while, I too would guess that if wishes were like the clouds in the sky, they will one day return to the earth as raindrops. Life flows like water, and rain is the final answer. The water levels may and what ultimately is the difference between the rains that fall upon all of us?
Specifically one with a huge more attack, perhaps? Paimon's just being enthusiastic. We're old friends.
It's always a pleasure to see our two most avid adventurers again. Actually, we do in fact have a rather urgent commission that is still open. Having read the...
Don't worry about that. We were just kidding. So what's the situation?
To put it simply, the requester is looking for a temporary replacement actress for their musical. The original cast member ran into some issues and is currently unable to perform, but the troupe has also been experiencing some financial
That does sound like a tricky situation.
That's right. Our adventurers reached out to many actresses. There are only a few days left until the performance.
Got it. Oh, this one's a doozy. What do you think, Traveler? Any ideas? Even if we took the commission, neither of us have any experience starring in musicals.
Wait a minute, she became a director. the hell?
If you're interested in helping, why not start by having maybe you can't fill the role yourselves, but you might—
Oh, it's that guy, huh? No wonder, he looks like he just ate a sour lemon. Hyman approves, let's go! Hello there, are you the guy looking for a new actress?
Wait, I know you two! Are you really willing to act in my musical?
Wow, sounds like we're pretty famous. But to answer your question, neither of us have any experience in musicals. But we heard that you're in a bit of a bind, so we figured we could at least try to help you think of a solution.
Ah, I see. It's okay. I knew that asking for a volunteer was a long shot. If we can't find someone to step in, we'll have no choice but to cancel the show. It would be such a shame.
Which bio I have too.
That's the thing. We're not some high-profile theater troupe, just a group of amateur enthusiasts. All our sets and props are very crude. We're grateful enough just to get an audience, never mind ticket fees. If we had a way to make this profitable, things might have turned out differently. But now, it looks inevitable that we'll disband.
Disband?
Oh, I guess the lady at the Adventurers Guild didn't tell you? Yeah. This is supposed to be our final show together as a troupe. One last show. And after that, we go our separate ways. So we were really hoping to end on a high note. Nobody wants things to just fizzle out. Not after all the time and effort we've invested into it. Yeah, the leading lady, in fact. She's been dealing with a chronic illness ever since childhood, and unfortunately, it flared up again recently.
Ah, that.
It really drains all her energy, so she's in no state to perform. The show just won't be the same without her. But for everyone else's sake, I still hope we can find a way to hold the performance on schedule.
Got it. We have a clearer picture now. Let's see if we can come up with any ideas.
Subs and tips goes to my food budget and helps my collage funds.
Traveler, how much more are you carrying?
Please, there's no need to go that far. I wouldn't feel right asking such a huge favor. And I can't promise that we'd ever be able to pay you back.
Good point. If the actress just goes through the motions for the Mora, that's not exactly rescue. We should find someone who will put on the best performance possible. Oh, wait! What about... That's how you know she's really good at performing, and she was once super popular with the crowd. Performing in a musical should be...
Who are you thinking of? Sounds like someone famous. Her! You're... That was a joke, right?
Nope. Paimon doesn't actually know if she's performed on stage before, but...
You're not wrong there. She has actually performed in a number of big-name shows before. They were one of the reasons she was so popular. But even if she's no longer the Hydro Archon, it's not like she's suddenly a commoner. She's still an idol to many people in Fontaine, well, yes, but... Fair enough. I mean, if she was actually willing to, then of course I'd be honored to have Lady Farina star in our show. I'm sure the rest of the troupe would be delighted too. I'm sure everyone in our troupe has probably dreamt of performing on stage with her one day. Of course, it all depends on whether she's interested. She might consider this
my
opportunity
god, she became an idol.
No point in stressing about that. We'll only know if we ask her. And besides, things are different now. There's no reason for her to be all high and mighty anymore.
Thank you for your help. I guess...
Wait, where does Farina actually live nowadays? She used to live in luxury at the Palais Mermonia, but...
As it happens, I have her current address here. I can provide it to you.
Woo! Where did...
I came over when things were starting to sound more promising. I thought I should be at the ready in case my assistance is needed. It is my duty to support commissioners in any way I can.
Thank you, ma'am.
Woo! Now that we've got the address, we'll go find Farina. Back... there's anything wrong with this place. It's just,
You know, it's common courtesy to make sure the homeowner isn't an earshot when you're denigrating their abode.
Ah! Okay, when did popping out of thin air become all the rage? First Catherine and now you?
I was just out on a shopping trip. I ran out of macaroni, so I went to grab a few more bags. I used to have a much wider range of choices when it came to food. But now I'm finding that simple, traditional home cooking can be quite delicious too.
Macaroni.
Not at all. As long as you have different kinds of sauces in, you can have macaroni and tomato sauce one week, macaroni and bolognese the next.
Oh, sounds like you're really struggling to cope.
Yay, I have my depression food to Pepsi. My food is Pepsi.
How rude! Questioning my cooking skills. The audacity! It's not like I have a very eventful life these days. Actually, I barely leave the house. So I don't see how it's unusual that my meals are a little simpler now too. Besides, I'm sure I could master dishes like la lettre focilor or blubber profiteroles in no time, if...
Ah, there it is. You don't know how to cook.
Not yet, maybe, but... Anyway, what are you even doing here? I do hope you didn't come here just to
She like
ogle
Raiden.
at my fall from grace. Let me first be clear that I'm not taking guests at this time. So if you're just here to clown around, then please be on your way. Shoot!
Sorry!'re sorry! Please don't be mad. Yeah, exactly! What the Traveler said! Hang on a sec, you weren't exactly holding back either.
My help? Well, maybe you're forgetting that I'm no longer the mighty Hydro Archon. I don't even have a vision, you know.
Don't worry, it's nothing that serious. It's just very specific, and you're the one with the power to help!
Oh? Well, if that's the case, then fine. I'll spare you the lecture about your attitude. So tell me, what specific... Ah, I see. I knew you couldn't have come all this way just to amuse yourselves at my expense. After all, I was once the brightest star in all of Fontaine, well-versed in all the various performing arts. A mere musical is well within my capabilities. But given the present circumstances, I'm afraid I must regretfully decline your casting request.
How come? It sounds like this would be a breeze for you.
True.
I kick Mihoyo ass if they make her suffer more after all the shit they done to
I am no
Furina.
longer required to play the role of the Hydro Archon. The time I spent inhabiting that character has left an indelible mark on me. Centuries of pretending to be a different person. Of course, that can't be undone now. It's too late, and I have no intention of reinventing myself all over again. But at least I can say that I no longer desire to play any new...
Paimon can but this is just a one-off part to fill in for someone who's sick.
Whether it's a one-off or not, it's a boundary that I've committed to no longer cross. If I make an exception to the rule now, I'm just leaving a back door for myself, which would be the same as not having a boundary in the first place. So I'm not going to perform, and that...
Okay, guess there's no convincing you. Well, is there anything else we can do to help out the troupe? Otherwise, they'll just have to disband without any fanfare. Do you know any other actors who might be interested in
Fuck,
the
she
role?
really does have depression.
Nope.
Short and to the point, okay.
I've never been great at maintaining relationships. Besides, anyone I've ever worked with probably couldn't wait to get rid of me. Since I'm just an ordinary person now. No, true, but I mean, could you even blame them? I show up out of the blue, begging and groveling for their help with a show they won't even get paid for? Ooh, no way. I'm dying from embarrassment just thinking about it. Nope, not happening.
Well, is there anything else we...
Have I not made myself clear? You're barking up the wrong tree. I don't want this job, nor do I know of anyone else who would. Sorry. I didn't mean for that to sound so harsh. I wish I could help, really. But if I thought I had the answer to this problem, I would have said so by now.
It's all right, Farina. Paimon just wanted to make sure we tried everything. Yeah, I guess that's all we can do now.
Toodaloo to you, too.
Let's make the Gardamek act. That'd be funny as hell.
It's too bad, but we have to respect Farina's decision. Maybe the thought of performing brings up too many painful memories now. Huh? What's going on? Are they arguing?
That's besides the point. I'll ask you again. Why did you start looking for a replacement without my consent? When did I tell you I'm going to take a step back?
You didn't need to say it. We've known each other for how long now? We know the signs. But you never tell us about your illness, even when it's clearly flaring up.
And that gives you the right to make a
Shortly after you left, the troop's lead actress came to the Adventurers Guild. She believes that she... Excuse me, but can you both take a moment to discuss something else for now? The adventurer assigned to your commission has returned.
Sorry, I was just dealing with a little misunderstanding.
Sadly, it's a no from her. We tried to persuade her, but she wasn't having it. She doesn't want to play the role for personal reasons.
I see. Well, circumstances have changed a little, so maybe that's not such bad news after all. You see, our leading lady has just
Oh, right! Sounds like everything worked itself out then. Yeah, she'd be livid.
Jeez, is Lady Farina really so hard?
Only joking, calm down. So, despite the fact that we failed to complete the commission, we were still racking...
Look, there's no point arguing with you about this anymore. You've made yourself very clear. This is the last chance we have, though. If you're... So, are you absolute...
Yes, I'm completely confident. I've been taking a new medication from the doctor, and it's working brilliantly. I share everyone's desire to commemorate all our years as a troupe with a proper farewell Every one of us thinks of this troupe as their home, myself included.
You're right. I'm sorry. I let myself get too worried about the show. I should have asked...
All's well that ends well. Sounds like the show will go on. Sure.
Hey, how did you... I was just passing by because I realized I forgot... All right, I'm coming. No need to drag... Hello, one and all.
Farina? Didn't you say you were gonna take a rest at home? What are you...
I was just ever so slightly concerned about the situation you mentioned. When you came to talk with me earlier, I jumped right to explaining my position. And all before I even had a full grasp of the situation. I'm sorry, Paimon.
Oh, it's totally fine. Paimon didn't take any of that personally.
You really have a knack for asking the most I felt very sheepish, having had a change of heart after flatly refusing you. And then to make my... But in any case, it's...
Yeah. When they said they were gonna ask for your help...
There's no need to think like that. And no need to keep addressing me. I was wondering... If this troupe is so important, if the difficulties are purely financial, then there must be a solution. You could put the shows on pause while you look for a sponsor, for instance. Everyone seems so devoted to the troupe. I'm
We all want to believe that, but everything's been going downhill ever since we lost our director. She was the heart and soul of...
Her name was O'Reilly, and she was the founder as well as the artistic director of our troupe.
What?
That's actually how I recognized these two. It was all thanks to their efforts that the true culprit was brought to justice. But still, no sentence can bring our director back to us.
She was a loyal fan of your performances, Miss Farina. They were what first inspired her to get into musical theater. She rallied many people around her who were destitute or had lost their sense of purpose in life, and convinced them to join her troupe. She wrote her own scripts, acted on stage, and mentored each and every one of us. People loved our performances back then. We seemed to be going from strength to strength. Things were really looking up for us.
And then disaster struck.
Yeah. After that, the entire troupe fell into disarray. None of us know anything about script writing, let alone how to handle the business side of things. We've been doing the best we can, but despite our efforts, things are slowly but surely falling apart. It's agonizing, but ultimately, we'd rather end things now on our own terms than stick it out to the bitter end and watch all our dreams turn to dust.
Oh.
What a terrible waste. I suppose it's fair to say then that this final show, besides being...
Yes, exactly.
Well, good thing I followed the Traveler here. I know what you're thinking, but I by no means plan to cross the boundary I've set for myself. Besides, they're no longer... I can, however, provide some artistic guidance from the vantage point of a highly experienced audience, but only if you feel this is something that would help, of course.
Oh, most definitely.
We unfortunately don't have any budget for a consultant, though.
I don't need any compensation. All I'd ask in return, if you're willing, is that you tell me some more about the life and work of your late director. Something I've begun to realize since my departure from the Opera Epiclese is that there's a lot you don't see when you observe everything from on high. The law only judges criminal behavior and does not weigh human emotion. The court's verdict can settle the question of criminal liability, but what about all the unresolved emotions of the parties involved? An interesting answer. But if you ask me, I think all emotion shall ultimately return home to the heart. And take, par exemple, how this troupe finds for their late director. Things such as this I have never witnessed before. And...
Still a fan of your old dramatic monologues then, huh? You just want to get back in on the action, don't you?
No. This is a completely different situation.
The name's not Swine, it's Paimon!
Would you be willing to join me? Come on, take a break from adventure.
Thank you all so much. Our director was a huge fan of Miss... All right, follow me.
Exactly, but none of them believe me. I'll think about it. There'll be an extra fee for that.
Something on your mind again? Let's work through it together.
Okay,
Two heads
it'll
are
be
better than
ending
one.
stream for now. I got class tomorrow.
Banker next time?
Exactly, but none of them believe me. There'll be an extra fee for that. I'll think about it.
Hope everyone is doing well and have a good day. Bye, B.